With 3 stories in one, Marvel Comics Presents might be one of the best values in books right now. But is it any good? What's up, everybody? I'm Stan, and welcome to Detail Comics, where we go over comics in detail. This is an irate review, the show where I go over a comic book, its story, its art, give you my impressions, and let you know whether it's something you need to go back to the comic book shop for or not. As always, we're going to be talking about a comic book, and this one is Marvel Comics Presents #1. This is an imprint that I grew up with, and it specifically had Wolverine and then another story, and you'd flip them over backwards, you kind of reverse the comic book, and you'd get 2 different tales in one comic book. So this time we've got 3, and we're dealing with Wolverine, Namor, and Captain America. But are these stories everything that they really cracked up to be, compared to a lot of nostalgia that I'm feeling from the past? I don't necessarily know, but let's dive in and see what Marvel's putting on the table. Marvel Comics Presents takes me back to a different age and time. The memories that I have of Marvel Comics Presents, while recent compared to some, they still revolve around a Wolverine story matched with some other member of the Marvel universe being added as a B-side. You'd flip over the comic, it'd be upside down, and you get a completely different story. In this one, we get 3 stories. One from Charles Soule regarding Wolverine, another from Greg Pak regarding Namor, and then another one that's going to be about Captain America. And when we start off, these individual stories seem like a really good value. We've got really top-tier writers that are going to be creating these ongoing series that are going to continue to tell a singular story throughout a number of different issues. The story of Wolverine is centered around World War II, and we see in the French countryside the Nazis trying to basically take this gypsy woman and have her summon forth a demon. The Canadian regiment that's sitting up on the top of the hill with Wolverine, Logan inside its ranks, we actually see this ceremony go awry. This woman, Marie, casting out a spell, saving her child just before the cataclysmic event happens. Wolverine taking the brunt of it, being scorched by the truth, a demon called forth from the nether realms of the Marvel Universe. And while Marie tries to exert her dominance, it just doesn't seem to work, but Logan is not going to have any of it. He calls forth all of the strength that he has of his mutant healing factor and dives headfirst into the fray, taking the brunt of this demon's punishment as she tries to banish this entity from our world. And she does, with success in the help of Logan. However, this is just the beginning. This is a vigil that is going to happen periodically, a curse that has been laid upon the family of Marie and the lineage that she leaves behind. A daughter crying, bawling at the feet of the Wolverine. And this is how Charles Soule is starting everything off. And really, I have to say, these short snippets of stories are one of the great ways to get you interested in. You can set the hook very easily, and I can't wait to see what happens and how many times this interaction between Marie and Logan goes on over this course of history. If we're starting back in the World War, maybe it gets passed on to a daughter, a granddaughter, a great-granddaughter, those kind of things. A curse that has been brought upon this house, and Logan has been tied into the family ever since that fateful night. However, when we jump over to the second story, Greg Pak's version of Namor, we are also in World War II. And this time Atlantis has been decimated, and he's being called upon by a man in a diving suit who happens to be from the US Army. And he calls upon him to go to Argentina and take out the Nazis, this group of rogue scientists after Hitler has died and the Nazis have surrendered. And what we find is a really well-composed story of Namor. Namor is against the murder of countless thousands, and he's here to defend the greater good. He's here to make sure that the large amounts of death don't befall anyone else after his civilization has been decimated by the war itself. However, he's been misled by the United States government. He's been told that this Argentinian threat is one of the greatest, while at the same time the United States has dropped the nuclear bomb on Hiroshima. And Namor sees this, infuriated. He goes to his military liaison and just can't seem to find anything but fury. The way that Greg Pak writes him, it's just really solid. You get this sense that Namor is a man on the outside of both societies, struggling to do the right thing, and when he goes to defend the Japanese, humans, land dwellers versus the sea dwellers, he goes to defend them. He's there to prevent death at all costs, and he goes to Nagasaki just before the bomb drops and takes the impact himself, unfortunately to no avail. And what you see is that as the United States military is in the area surveying the damage that has been done by the bomb that they dropped, you see decimated Namor amongst the people, wondering whether he would still be on the United States side or not. And overall, I really like the depth of this story. The art by Tom Cocker, if you're talking about Black Monday Murders, he was the artist on that, and I just love the style and how it kind of accentuates this dark, dirty, gritty, old school style. It really dates the actual art itself and gives it age that feels appropriate for the context, the content of the actual story itself. And the strength in which they write Namor and his confusion, his strive to do the right thing but being misled, it just gives you the background for all this fury that would drive forward in the man that was going to be inside the invaders, which is another issue that just came out. We'll talk about that in a different video. And as we finish up, we've got the Captain America story, which, to be perfectly honest with you, seems to be the most simple, the least complex out of everything. We see an inspired young girl riding her bike similar to the way that Captain America is jumping his across bridges, and he happens to be in the same area. She tries to imitate him, tries to do the exact same things, and unfortunately falls and fails, but she seems to be extremely happy about it. What we get out of this is that there's really no message. Greg Land does a stellar job with the art. I really love his art style. He's been doing covers for Domino and stuff like that, and he was just a really standout part of this story. But what it comes down to is the idea of being yourself and who wants to protect you versus who you need to become. And I can only say that it's probably done better in other ways. You know, having Captain America come and fix a dirt bike doesn't necessarily mean that he's setting an example or being an inspiration. And having him just help facilitate this young girl's dream, or, you know, observe the fact that she's taking care of herself or she's being safe, and then kind of legitimizing her actions, it just doesn't quite feel like a Captain America story that resonates with me. It just doesn't quite hit the right notes as far as that twinge. But it is something that's kind of complimentary. If you come from Marvel Comics Presents, the art teams are very good. Cocker is great. Greg Land is great. If you're coming for the storytelling, then I would say that you're in very good hands with Charles Soule and Greg Pak, and the combination of those things makes Marvel Comics Presents a very solid value as far as comic books are concerned. You get a lot of story, and then you're going to get continuation of the story, and then hopefully as these single one-shot stories end out, you know, after 3, 4, 5, 6 issues, you're going to get a resurgence or a brand new storyline with new creators, and it's going to be a great feature set. It's going to be the ability to showcase and spotlight a bunch of brand new ideas or individual standalone stories that are going to help develop the Marvel universe. But I want to know what you guys think. What did you think about the art in the Namor story? What did you think about the storyline that Charles Soule is telling inside the Wolverine story? Did the story of Captain America really resonate you? So hit me up in the comments down below, and let's start that conversation and see exactly what you guys thought of Marvel Comics Presents and whether it was worth the money. But as always, if you like what you see, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to get more news, reviews, and commentary on comic books, comic book movies, comic book TV shows and games, and anything and everything inside the world of comics.